Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to start the main section of this engine harness. So this will go from the ECU connectors to the bulkhead connector or cannon plug. So just real quick, I'm going to strip off a piece of this. I want everyone to be able to see how these pins get crimped. If you notice the pin, it's not a normal on where it goes around the wire. This actually wraps around the wire, one over that, kind of over the top of each other. So in order to achieve that, you have to have the right crimper. So we're going to go ahead and crimp this where we want it. Okay, and then notice, I'm gonna put these closer together, but you can see how the pins are gonna wrap. So in the bottom of this crimper, there's a U crimp, and that's made to wrap these around. So I don't know if you can see it real good in the video, but you can see how it just kind of wrapped around real nicely. So we're gonna go ahead and pin this up. And then we're gonna actually do the ref sensor. We're going to do the shield setup on the ref. So we're going to just kind of pop this guy in. And then this guy in. So basically on this, I'm going to pin this off of the camera, but these pins just they just slide in, and then to lock them, we push down on these white tab, and that locks the pin. It can't come out. To release it, we pop the bottom out and pull out the pin. Okay, so so as you can see now, we've got these strapped down to the table. These little sticky pads work like a champ, as far as you'll see I have them all over the bench, but that way we can hold everything while we start to build. So on this, I twisted up. I added a couple pieces of high temp tape to kind of hold it into position. Now I've got there's going to be a 3-inch piece of shrink on each of these. Also, the other thing is when I do these, a lot of people will add a relief, like a loop. So we have a loop. But because everything's exposed here, and for the aesthetic side of what my customer would like, what I do is before I twist it, I push the wires back in and I add relief by forcing the wires that way. And then when I twist them, there's no strain. It's not pulling on the pins. And doing it this way, we've never had any kind of a failure. But when I add a boot to these, then I would actually loop, because it hides all of that, and because it's not such a clean look. So anyway, we'll keep moving forward here. I'm going to have to add some tape. To get the heat shrink over the top of these. So this is the easiest way to do it. Just take some tape and tape all these wires together. Then we're going to cut a piece of 1/2 inch, 3 inches long. We're going to slide that on. Bring it up to here. Okay. So now we can remove this. Do the same with this 26 pin side. piece of 3/8, 3 inches. Slide this on. And this whole thing's just like a building block, you know, it's just a bunch of processes that we have to do to actually do the build. So this is kind of the critical stuff that if you forget one of them, then you'll have to redo the whole arm. We have to redo that section. Sometimes that entails starting over. So I fold these up just because this is smaller, and then we'll pull these out. These are my ref and sinks, so they're going to actually go to 0 volt and to my reference voltage. Okay. So real quick, we'll just shrink these up. Shrink out this guy. Okay, so now we'll need a piece of 3/8, piece and a half. So this is SCL, like we did on the other videos. This SCL is just going to come up and secure the end of this. So we're going to pop this off real quick. I'm going to show you a little trick. So rather than putting a big piece of 1/2 inch and trying to shrink it down, all we do with this is we actually stretch it a little bit. Not much, doesn't need much. And this will just make it a cleaner transition, even though we could use a piece of 1/2 inch there if we had to, but all right, so we're going to shrink that. Okay, so that gives us a nice start on the harness. So the next step for me would be to bring these two pieces together. So I'll zip tie them together, about right there. Okay. So the next part of this process is actually going to be to take out my 0 volts, my 5 volt, because this is where I'm going to make all my splices, is under this boot. So we'll pull these out. This guy. And this guy. Okay. So let's figure this out. This is my 0 volt. This is my 5 volt for sensors, right? 0 and 5 volt for sensors. This 0 volt is actually going to go for the ref and the sink. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take this 5 volt, or this reference voltage for the sink, and we're actually going to tie it into this guy right here. So because that's a Hall effect, it uses a voltage. So it uses a 0 volt and a 5 volt on that sensor. And then on ref, it's a magnetic pickup. So basically it just has a signal and it goes to 0 volt. These shields go to 0 volt. So that's going to be this guy. So let me zip tie this, and then we'll make a splice on these. I'll show you how I do that. And all this is going to be hidden under a boot, so that makes it really nice. So I'm going to trim that. And at this point, we're going to be adding and taking stuff out of the harness, because there's a lot that goes on just in this little area. So bear with me. So a little barrel splice. For the little ones, I use these pliers. They have a really nice crimp area up here. And again, these are snap-on, but you could probably get them from anybody. And I'll cut off a little piece at the end. Okay, so we'll just remove a good pair of strippers is really important. Okay, so now I'm going to make sure I got everything lined up correctly. I do. Kind of twist it up a little bit. Add another splice. We'll try the small one to see if that'll work. It will. So let me grab a piece of SCL. I'm going to use a piece of APE on the 2 wires, and I'll just stretch it a little bit and slide it over. And let's heat crank those up. Get those out of the way, then we'll start breaking out a couple of other sections. Get that end off. Okay. So now that we got that done, we'll cut this off. We'll just kind of push these out of the way for right now. So on this harness, organize real quick. We're going to have to open all this back up. So it's nice to use masking tape because you can just tear it and pull it off. All right, so coming out of this harness, I need, so this is basically fuel pump control. This is power to the ECU. We've got tack signal, and then we have a pull-up resistor we'll be putting in here for tack also. So we'll get this guy out of here. All right. And then we'll have, we have exhaust crossover on this, which basically is diverts the exhaust a different way as they would need it. This is my, so this is for CAN. So let's pull the CAN out. We need to twist it up. So there's that guy. This guy. So for communication on CAN lines are a twisted pair, and so we'll twist them separate, and then on the power and the 0 volt, it'll get wrapped around this CAN line. It aids in keeping any outside influences from distorting the CAN signal. So we'll do this. And so other options are, on some of the harnesses I do when the CAN line's really long, I use actually a 2-conductor shielded cable for CAN. And that just even gives me more, a better, sometimes I use a shielded cable for CAN. It just helps to prevent any outside influences, especially when you're building a CAN line at maybe 10 feet down the line on the vehicle itself. So these are just simple little tips. Okay, we're gonna be adding more stuff to here. Here's our CAN. We're gonna find the 0 volt for it. This guy right here. Okay, so what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna wrap these around the outside of the CAN. And that will just make it for a kind of how it's supposed to be. And so this is just my reference voltage for CAN and my 0 volt. So we'll do that for now. We'll leave that at that. I'll finish it off camera. Okay. So now I've got to, I'll get some other wires together and I'll be back. Actually, I think what we'll do to simplify this is right now we're just going to zip tie this together. Sometimes these zip ties, they break when you try to tighten them. Okay. So we're going to actually twist this up for now because we're going to add a bunch of wires. But as we add them, it actually makes it simpler when if you twist it up now than it does trying to add them after the fact. This makes it actually way better just to add to this. So we'll twist this up. It's just a simple twist. You'll always happen to untangle it. So I just changed the camera angle because I want you to be able to see closer. I'm still working on trying to figure out how to do these videos in a way that even with the overhead camera, I can't really seem to zoom in enough to explain some of the stuff. So these are those splices I made. So this one was for our voltage going to the ref sensor, to the Hall effect sensor. And then this one was 0 volt, which was the 0 volt for the ref sensor, the sync, so cam and crank, and then the shields for those 2 wires. And then, so here what we're doing is we're breaking out. This again was our wire for CAN. And this little guy we popped out, this is actually gonna be for my TAC pull-up resistor. And this will be for all my 5 volts reference signals for sensors and all the 0 volts. So I cut some wires here. And we're gonna add these to the harness. So we're gonna take, first off, take this. This guy, which is power to our injectors. This guy. So I'm going to add these to here. And then we'll show you how we'll just transition these into the harness. Okay, so we got that and that. So there's going to be 2 branches here. One actually is going to go to the relay panel, and the other one goes to the underseat wiring, which is the chassis link or chassis interface. And it's only 4 wires, basically my TAC signal, my ignition on, and spare. and then X over. So anyway, so we have this stuff in, and I'm going to let's add another zip tie here for now. Bird's eye view per se for what I'm doing here. So I'm just going to twist these guys together. So this is my under seat wiring. It's the chassis link or chassis interface. I call it a chassis link, but other people call it a interface. But basically, it's for the tach signal from the ECU. It's switched ignition to the relays, and it's a fuel pump signal going to the fuel pump relay that they have in a different location. And then we got just this quick little pull up down here for, this is our resistor for the tach. So I'm trying to keep my hands out of the way, but I'm trying to be somewhat efficient at getting all this in there. Okay, so based on that, that'll give us a start. I added another wire here, which is for the X over, for the exhaust crossover. So we're gonna go ahead and attach all that into the harness. Some rubber. And then we're going to twist this part, and then we'll add the 0 and the 5 volts after this. So at least this part we can get a good start on. And as we add the wires, it just makes it easier twisting it so that we don't have all the tangle to deal with. And it makes it easy for them just to roll over the top of that existing area that I've already done. So you'll see here in just a moment. So now as I take these and I roll them around, this will just kind of nicely follow. Okay. This series is going to end up being probably about 4 videos, probably, maybe even 5. Just because of the length and how much, while I'm still learning how to get everything downloaded and to look correct, I can make corrections by adding a few videos. Plus it won't be as boring, give you a basic idea. So, all right. So I'm gonna get this twisted up and I'll get everything prepped here and then I will be back. Okay, so I have everything in. I twisted everything up to the other end. So this is for our relay panel. This will be for our under seat wiring or interface. This is for our exhaust crossover and then our can. So, and this on here was our tach pull-up. So basically, so now I'm going to twist up the harness with this carbon string. It just helps to kind of keeps everything together. And it's a nice clean way to do the harness to hold it in position. we'll just keep twisting up the harness a little bit, keep it nice and tight, keep my wiring where it needs to be. Now, do I do every harness with this? No, but I figured on this one I may as well use it just to kind of let you see how this all gets built. So I'm hoping this angle is working better for everybody to be able to see what I've got going on here. So it kind of looks like it's pretty good. So the next thing to do here is going to be I'm going to go and just verify that I have everything in that I need. I don't have anything missing. And then we'll cut a piece of heat shrink and put it on, and we'll keep moving forward. So I'm going to stop this video right here, and then we'll have a part 2, which will be shrinking it, putting a label on it. I'll show you my label maker that I use, and we'll get all this section done, get a boot on it, and then we'll start with the bulkhead connector at the other end, which is a 55 pin. So I decided just to grab the camera real quick and actually do a close-up of this, just to give you a better perspective of everything that I've done. And I'll try to figure out how to get this camera angle better for the next video so that you'll be able to really see exactly what I'm doing. Anyway, thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video. Okay, we are back, and I just slid all the heat shrink pieces in place so that I can get these shrunk up. But I wanted to kind of see it, let you see the layout of how I did everything. And then this whole section will it'll all get corrected and made nice. And then when it gets taped and booted, everything will be underneath. So I am gonna go ahead and start shrinking this. And then we will finish shrinking it off camera. So we'll just shrink a little section here. So this is 3/4. So we'll just get this kind of pulled down so it's in the right position. And remember, we want all of our lettering up. So we'll do these guy for, this is the X over wire, or the exhaust crossover. So we'll just do like 3 or 4 inches of each one, and then I can finish it. Our relays. And then this guy's our cam. Okay, we'll be back shortly. All right, so
We're going to actually install, this is a lift boot, and it'll actually help transition here better. This is a 202K 142, and this is a shrink boot. So we're going to slide this down and position it where we want it. And we'll heat this starting with even temperature all the way around the boot. And you'll see it'll start taking a shape. And while we're doing this, we're going to have to kind of adjust it. So I'll hop up underneath here, kind of pull it down into position where I want it. This is a bottle boot, so it's designed for, normally these would go on a connector, like a Canon plug, but I like to use them for doing these boots too. When I epoxy them, it's just cleaner than the non-lipped. Okay, and there you got it. So I'll bring this over, we'll take a better look at it, but that's a nice clean transition, and then I'll epoxy the boot around after it cools. So let's see, next we're going to actually make a label. Okay, so I was going to try to do this connector on screen, on camera, but when I realized that it takes me about an hour and a half to put one of these together. So instead, I'm just going to show you the parts that are involved. So this is the boot ring adapter. It threads onto the back of this shell, and then the boot has a lip, and it goes into this groove right here. But before I shrink that, I'll bring this back up after it's all pinned out, and we'll go from there. And then if at a later time, if somebody really wants to know how to do one of these connectors, when I use a smaller connector, it'd be real easy to do a demonstration. So I'll put that on my list of things to do for a future video, and that would be actually pretty short. So I'll be back to you soon. And another just real quick thing, if you notice, these connectors come with gold-plated pins. So just to have, that way it just makes even an exceptional kind of contact. And the tool that I use to crimp these is a Deutsch Crimper DMC. And the thing that's nice about them is this crimp tool, I can adjust for each size. So a DTP pin, a DT pin, or a DTM pin. And then down here, I just set the wire gauge. This is a 20. And that's how long it takes to crimp that. So it takes a second. And same with this one. And we're done. So anyway, I just wanted to share that. Okay, so we have this all done now. This is completely pinned. I'm all prepped. I'm ready to put the boot on. So typically I'll shrink the boot onto the ring adapter. I'll leave this open until it's completely tested. and then I'll do a final shrink on the boots. And you can see all the pins inside there. So we'll get prepped and we'll start working on the other side, which will be the engine side.